Now, joining us to talk a little bit about the Newlands test and also about the news about Carl Abbott and Rilee Rossouw is Dumisa Makalima, former BizHub Lions coach and the founder of BC Cricket Analysis. Dumisa, good evening. Thanks very much for giving us this time so close to New Year's.
Yes, man. It's a pleasure to be here.
Dumisa, is it too early to crow about the Proteas and their revival?
It's not too early because it's been a process that's been long coming. And the way they're playing right now, they're unstoppable. There's good chemistry within that team, everyone can see. And I think it's very important just for people to reflect where this team comes from and where they are going. I think they're playing fantastic cricket.
Yeah, no, they've come off a very tough 2015, 2016. In fact, this particular year, they were second only to India in terms of test playing nations, in terms of their record. They won 5 out of 7, lost only 2.
Absolutely, and it's a consistency of the top order. I think they've managed to find that balance of the order, and I think the bowlers have stood up. I think they've shown their hand when the likes of Del Steyn was injured. Mone Moko, haven't seen much of him, but there's been good chemistry. You know, Carl Abbott came in and he's done what he does best, takes wickets, and Kagiso Rabada is bowled at good heat. Well supported by Vernon Philander.
Let's talk a little bit about Carl Abbott. Both he and Rilee Rossouw have had their contracts with Cricket South Africa terminated with immediate effect. It's a bit of a disappointment for a lot of people because Carl Abbott really has been the real deal. He's done a lot to restrict the Sri Lankan batsmen, and also when in Australia as well, he did quite a lot. He was quite a thorn in their sides.
Absolutely, it does come as a surprise. And what's also surprising for me is that these things weren't talked about before, they had signed. It just sounds like Cricket South Africa only found out that they've signed and then they terminated. It is kind of disappointing because he's one of the bowlers who's in form. Every time he comes in, he does make an impact, throughout the rest of the game. And it's very disappointing because now we're losing another quality bowler, who is on song and who's probably up there with the best in the world.
Carla said it's not just about quotas and transformation. In fact, it's not anything to do with targets and quotas and so on that he's leaving. It's about financial reasons. He gets 4 years security playing for Hampshire County as opposed to not knowing what's going to happen with him. Surely he would have been expecting a Cricket South Africa contract with the performances that he's put in recently.
Of course, we always think, this is how these things happen, but, sports, throughout right now, we've seen it with the rugby. They tend to take this route, and I'm sure for him as well, it tended to be probably frustration more than anything. The likes of Del Steyn coming back, what's going to happen with me, and it also is, it comes in as a very big surprise. And I'm sure the decision, he did say that it is financial, it is a security, and you can't blame players when they tend to go down that route, especially when they don't know where they are within the team environment. So
basically, it's something that's understandable that he'd make that decision. He said, look, he's got to look out for his family, and that's why he's making this decision. Same as Rilee Rossouw, because both of them were actually like on the fringe for the longest time, weren't they?
Absolutely. Every time Rilee Rossouw came in to play for South Africa, he performed, he put numbers on the board. And I'm sure for him it was frustrating, when he's on top form and he's not selected, he always has to sit down, for the likes of, let's say Dumine was struggling, he always has to wait. I'm sure those frustrations do creep up and, players get uncertain about their futures. What if, because now AB de Villiers is going to come back, what's going to happen to his future? So it's those questions that players tend to sit down and ask themselves, where do I lie within the team's future plans?
And surely something that Cricket South Africa should look seriously at. And I think Faf du Plessis did allude to it, that maybe Cricket South Africa will take a little more time and effort to make sure they keep their best players.
Absolutely, and I think it's like a rock and a hard place basically, where a player is performing and at the same time he's not quite cracking into the team. Frustrations build up, and I don't know the best way to solve this, because if players don't play, there's going to be issues, Yeah. They want to see themselves on the field and playing and performing.
Well, you talk about AB de Villiers, that he's coming back on his side. We spoke about Del Steyn with the injury that he's sustained and the surgeries he's had to go through. He will, at one point, knock on the door, want to come back onto the side. What does it mean for the current setup? Let's start with the bowling attack, because the bowling attack has actually stood up and been fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Vernon Philander, Kagiso Rabada, Carl Abbott, who's now gone. We've had Maharaj coming in. We've got some really good bowlers that are actually are attacking the position. What happens when Del Steyn is back fit?
We've got match winners there at the moment. Kagiso has led the bowling attack ever since Del Steyn, has picked up that injury. So has Carl Abbott. So is Vernon Philander, and now we've roped in Dwayne Olifi, who is a young prospect, with a bit of pace. So, you know, the bowling setup is kind of sorted, you know, with the spinners. Maharaj comes in and performs, Shamsi comes in and performs. So in terms of that department, we are kind of sorted. It's going to be a bit of question marks now where Kyle Abbott leaves, you know, because Dale Steyn is still has a bit of time to still recover. So there's going to be a bit of question marks there and there. But at the same time, it does give another young South African bowler an opportunity to stand up and shine.
And talking about the batting lineup, there have been some serious frailties that we've seen. Amla has lost form of late. Dumini has been worrying a little bit as well. And Bavum has hardly lit up the batting stats. Those three who are there, AB de Villiers comes back into the side, or at least he's back fit. Does one of them get dropped for him, or do they wait to see if he actually is better than them at that time?
Oh, well, I don't think there's many questions about you know, the ingenious, you know, AB de Villiers. I know Hashim Amla, you can't put, you know, you know, I mean, it's what a player goes through. He is averaging 52 in Test cricket. He's about to play his 100th, you know, Test match at the Wanderers. I wouldn't look at him, you know. He's one of those guys. Just let him have a bad run.
Well, let's talk a little bit about Amla, okay? Amla, in the last 10 tests, the last time he got a 50 was against New Zealand, 10 tests ago. When he got out recently, he had put on some 100, just under 200 runs. Whereas in the same time, Quinton de Kock had put over 500 runs in the same test time. He also has the ignominy of also being the 10,000th LBW trapped in test cricket. But I mean, that's just an aside, a stat. Having said that, he struggled quite a bit in the last 10 tests.
He has, and I think it's just a bit of a longer run for him to, you know, to actually struggle. He's a quality player, you know, but to drop a person like, you know, Hashim Amla with his class, you know, it will be very detrimental, you know. I wouldn't look down that direction. I hope the selectors are not looking down that direction, you know. Maybe have a look in the middle order. Yes, Temba is coming under a bit of scrutiny. The pressures of Test cricket are, you know, are starting to toll, and the fact that he hasn't scored enough runs, you know, they're starting to toll. And you've got a person like AB looking at your shoulder who's ready, you know, to come in. So there are a bit of questions that the selectors have to answer, but you gotta get AB back into the team somehow. Dumini, you know, the thing about Test cricket, you gotta put up big numbers. You know, Stephen Cook has come up and has put up big numbers on the board. You know, Dean Elgar has come up, put numbers on the board. So basically, you have to put numbers on the board to secure your place in Test cricket.
Dumisa, there's lots to talk about. In fact, I'm going to try and rope you in to see if we can preview the next test on the 12th of January. Thank you so much for coming through. Certainly hope you've had a good start to the year, and we'll be speaking to you again soon. Always a pleasure, Kendal. Thank you very much. There you have it. We're done with the show. Dumisa Makalima joining us to come help us understand a little bit about what's happening in the world of cricket with the Proteas and all the big bombshells that were dropped this morning.